Welcome back. Couldn't figure out how to work my shit. How are? Oh, I said a bad word already. Oh no, YouTube's gonna yell at me. Hit the like button. Happy Friday. What's going on? Do me a favor, tap on the like button, drop in the chat, let me know where you're chiming in from. It's Friday, welcome back to Combat Recap. I like it. I like Combat Recap. That's not bad, right? We got a good show for you tonight. A lot of good footage to take a look at. We will have a sponsor for tonight. I screwed that up on Wednesday, but I did my job today. I worked. When you get to wake up every day and love what you do, it's not a day of work. You know, I absolutely love being here, and thanks for being here with me. But it is Friday, and you made it all week without going to jail, unless you're watching from jail. If you are, I hope you establish dominance. That'd be good for you. How we doing? You know, this song is better than Hyperdrive. It just is. Bakhmut, you liar. First time I get here early. Brazil, Moscow, you're a liar too. New Haven, Connecticut, what's going on? La Crosse, I see ya. Minnesota, from Aussie land, welcome in from down under. Austin, Texas. I'll be down in your neck of the woods here in a couple weeks. All right, let's get started for the night. Let's get started. I do need to, you know, once again, and of course, as always, say thank you for being here. We got a good show tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about offensives, counteroffensives, things like that. There are shaping up to be a couple of those in the, you know, largest war that we have going on. That's what we cover is war, right? There are those that might look at this stream as some sort of a Ukraine update. It's not supposed to be, nor is it designed to be. It's ultimately to review combat footage, hopefully provide some broad level context to that, but for obvious reasons, the majority of the combat footage that we receive right now is Ukraine. So with that comes the context and from a situation perspective that we would provide. Oftentimes, even if we were covering a war elsewhere, personal individual bias comes out, and that's something that I've been meaning to kind of rehash and cover. I do need to talk about this week's or tonight's sponsor though. Tonight's sponsor is going to be USCCA. So I talked about that on Wednesday, and we're going to watch a couple videos back to back here that might help you understand what types of situations USCCA could come in for you. But first, I want to watch a little video on their behalf. I'm a big fan, like personally, of theirs. And we'll talk more about that right after the video. Here you go.
The USCCA is an organization that is focused on not only equipping responsible gun owners, but they're also focused on intently building community among its members. As crime continues to rise across the United States, Americans of all races, colors, and creeds will continue to purchase firearms, making USCCA's mission all the more important. USCCA is an organization focused on empowering its members through education and training, while also providing them with liability insurance for lawful self-defense scenarios. USCCA has singularly become the most important liability carry insurance option in the United States. And when you meet Tim and talk to the more than 400 staff at USCCA, it's not hard to see why. With their passion, commitment, and dedication to their customers, it's easy to see why USCCA has grown to become one of the most critically important firearms-related companies. It's everyday people working hard to educate and protect. And it's the core of that mission that makes USCCA.
All right. Should be coming back up. I'm going to just go ahead and turn it off. Yeah, so I had a chance to be invited up to USCCA's headquarters with a bunch of really awesome people. You guys will probably have recognized like Mike from Mr. Guns and Gear in there, the Guns Out TV guys. I've talked about them quite a bit before. And what they did is they ultimately ran me through some of their fundamentals level courses for both a rifle and for pistol. And I talked about this a little bit on Wednesday. Their approach to tackling Second Amendment awareness, gun rights awareness, is a very bottom-up approach, and I am extremely appreciative of that. There are other organizations out there that focus very intently on a quote top-down approach. Essentially start with the politicians, and that's how they solve the problem. I appreciate more focusing on the fundamental knowledge across the United States of our gun owners, teaching them how to employ their firearms, how to keep them safe, how to avoid situations where you might have to use one. We're going to watch a couple videos here to kind of show you how things can go off the rails really quickly. The very first one comes out of Paraguay. Discretion is advised on this. What's going to happen here is two dudes are going to walk into a gun store thinking something. I'm not sure what they were thinking was going to happen, but exactly what you would hope happens is what takes place. Video's coming up for you now, and then we'll break it down. All right, let's watch that one more time. Kind of break down slowly. So you got a customer sitting here. You've got this gun shop owner. Again, this is Paraguay. So the first guy's going to come in and essentially get a flank on him. It's a really dangerous position to be in. The second guy is going to come in guns blazing, essentially. Gun shop owner. Pretty quick on his draw. And this guy will end up expiring. This one, to me, would be somewhat cut and dry, if you will, here in America. That would be a very easy to explain situation, case of self-defense. The next one that you're going to watch here is also not safe for work, and discretion is once again advised for this. What happens when the situation isn't so clear? What happens when you have an unarmed intruder that does make their way into your home, but you might not live in a state with a castle doctrine or something along those lines? Who's your first call? You have a lawyer? Check this out. This took place July 31st, 2022. Where did this happen? I want to say it's like Ohio or something like that. Anyway, it's coming up for you now. It's going to be about a 4-minute watch. It's well worth it, though.
Stop it, Allie. Boys, in the house. I'm doing it. Oh, wait. He's leaving. Hey, he's coming back. Nope, I'm calling. James, she doesn't want to talk to you.
All right, that's all we're gonna watch of that. But let's bring it back up to the top and talk about that for a second. So the situation that you're seeing here is essentially the gentleman who shoots. That's his daughter's ex-boyfriend who tries to force his way into the house. And in a situation like that, what you didn't see towards the end of the video is the neighbor comes out and starts berating the homeowner for firing his for using his firearm, and starts to talk about how the individual that was shot, the suspect, if you will, the man trying to forcibly break into another man's home to do who knows what, was unarmed. In a situation like that, do you have your lawyer at the ready? This is why I'm a big fan of USCCA, because not only do they provide the training for before, but they also provide support for after. You guys go to uscca.com/funker. This is one for me personally, okay? Please do so, especially if you own a firearm. They not only cover you for firearm use, but say you got put your hands on somebody. They'll cover you for that too. At least go check it out. I think they're doing a bunch of freebies and stuff like that. We're gonna get into the rest of the show for tonight, though. I'm gonna try and bring things back up. Sorry to hit you right on the nose out of the gate, but I wanted to be, quite honest about why, we chose to continue to work with USCCA. And again, I saw a bunch of comments, give us this BS about sponsors, etc. There's a reason that we work with sponsors, because YouTube doesn't pay us. So, thanks for a little bit of your time this Friday. Welcome back. The neighbor was acting like, why'd you shoot? Yes. Yeah, he was. Yep. I'm not going to get into legalities or good shoot versus bad shoot. Not really my lane. Right? Just showing you the situation. So we're going to talk a lot about Kreminna today. We're going to talk a lot about Zaporizhzhia. We're going to talk about war, top to bottom, really. But there are offensives, or you could call in some circumstances counteroffensives, being planned by both Russia and Ukraine. Now, I'm not going to go too far down into the weeds on this because, again, we're not a news show. I do try to cover, generally speaking, some hot topics that are floating around. The very first is a major Russian offensive, I should say, that's being planned, and a lot of people are saying, from a personnel perspective, anywhere from 300 to 500,000, packs, soldiers, infantrymen, boots. That's a lot. Now, there are three kind of leading guesses as to where that will emanate from. My personal guess would be just the Donbass, from generally the east, but there are some who are also saying Zaporizhzhia in the south. Now, Ukraine, on the other hand, appears to potentially be gearing up for a counteroffensive near Kreminna. We're going to see some footage about that here in just a little bit, and we're actually leading off tonight with Kreminna. More Kreminna footage. I have more Kreminna footage tonight than I think I have any other night in the past. And the very first one is going to be that BMP-T, the Terminator, that we saw. I want to say it might have been Monday, maybe sometime last week, but Terminator got terminated. So this is somewhere near Kreminna, and if you guys recall, we watched quite a few videos of the Terminator kind of tearing up a wood line. I don't personally know how many Terminators are, being employed in Ukraine, but it's got a lot of guns on it. Dual 30 millimeter. It's got an automatic grenade launcher on it. It's got rockets. Pretty wild system. All right, now we're going to shift into more footage coming from Kreminna. I already see all the support coming from you guys, and thanks very much for it today. Thanks very much for it in general. I got that cow lick going on. Coolness, of course, thanks for the 10. Appreciate that. Richard, thanks for the 6 months. 67th Super Bonker, thanks for the 639. And Timothy, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome, buddy. All right, the next one that you're going to watch is actually some footage of the VDV. Wish I had the song on, like a sound deck or something. But you're going to see the 76th Guards Airborne, reportedly somewhere near Kreminna. Some good footage here. Now, the only thing that leads to believe the 76th Guards Airborne is the watermark down at the bottom. You can see the 76th on it. Some of their equipment is a little bit interesting. The tan boots, specifically, for current environment.
Татарин.
All right, I've got another one of the 76 Guards coming up for you now. Also near Kreminna. This is some good footage as well. Right out of the gate, you can see from an equipment perspective, a little bit more higher end. Yes, it is a hollow sun.
Скажите, как обстановка в целом?
Стабильно, напряженно.
Противник активно работает?
Местами очень даже активно.
Готовности доклад.
Заведен, готов.
3 коротких огонь. Ближе 50, лево 30. Расход полный огонь.
So for those wondering, we talked about this before. That's, you know, really high angle fire for that AGS there. That means wherever he's trying to hit is pretty close. It looks like he's got that maxed as well.
Контролем западную посадку. Попали хорошо. Дежурим, дежурим. Пока тепла не вижу. Азимут 240, дальность 1000. Работает малыми крещенными группами. Выходит, говоря в тыл союзным войскам, наносит одно поражение. После этого быстро уходит в свои районы. И как вы видите, тепло целей сразу является на фоне этой полосы. Тем самым мы можем обнаружить противника и нанести ему более точное огневое поражение.
More forward observation drones. Are there any Tarkov players in the chat?
Лево 30, расход полный. Возможности разведки, наблюдения, уничтожения противника и минимальной потери личного состава.
Идем, готов.
Полный расход.
Выйдь!
Where's Ukrainian guy with a USEC patch? Actually, you know, early in the war, there was, I want to say it was like a CNN segment or something. I actually tweeted it out at Battle State to see if they were tracking that their patches were all over the place. But there was a Ukrainian dude wearing a USEC patch. Yeah, absolutely. We've got more footage coming out of Kreminna. This, I would say, is a little bit contextual and is what is leading everybody to believe that there is soon to be or is already happening, obviously with, like, you know, information release cycles, etc., some form of a Ukrainian counteroffensive or offensive, depending upon how you look at it, happening in Kreminna. I can't validate that this is from Kreminna, but it's pretty obvious that they're staging for something here. Either that or it's the weekend safety brief. I don't know. You tell me. These are Ukrainians. Again, reportedly somewhere near Kreminna. I don't have any sound on this one. Got another short clip of some fighting near Kreminna as well from a Ukrainian perspective. This is only like a 9-second clip. Okay. And now I've got some contextual footage for you. What things look like in and around Kreminna. The very first one, I promise it's Kreminna, not the Somme. Well, I promise it's Ukraine. WTF is Kreminna. Do you mean Crimea? No. No. Let's go to the campaign map right after this video. Actually, I got one more video, then we'll go to the campaign map. Kreminna. Alright, let's bring it up. So I got one more contextual video of Kreminna, not Crimea. And this is some woodline area, about a minute-long video here. But just gives you a good understanding of outfit, of equipment, of environment. No sound here. These are Ukrainians. Not sure why I don't have sound. It looks like there should be, but everything's turned on. That sucks. The in-laws look like they're coming to visit. All right, let's head to the campaign map. We're going to head to understandingwar.org. I'm going to turn some music on here for just a minute. I also need to check in on the support. Thank you again for it, guys. Appreciate it. Second Amendment, thanks for the $5. And Coolness, thanks again for that $10. Understandingwar.org. That was Kreminna. We're pulling that up right now, boss. All right. Put myself in the lower right. So here you got Ukraine, Crimea, the very south. Kreminna is up here. This is Kreminna. Now, all of the footage that we just watched was reportedly comes out of Kreminna. There's only one or two of the videos that we have tonight where I was able to find geolocation details and actually go down into Latin Long for it. But I had a little bit of extra time to do that for that one. For each of these, it's a wood line. It's, nothing that I can really point at for 100% certainty. But the original sources that I found the videos from, or that the boys found the videos from, Josh and Will, says Kreminna. Now, again, just to kind of rehash one of the talking points we had earlier, There are really 3 locations that people believe Russia's counteroffensive is going to emanate from. Either Luhansk, kind of generally from this area here, Donetsk here, or Zaporizhia from down here. Right, now I've talked about Zaporizhia before from a, again, in my mind, Crimea is the golden ticket for Ukraine. Holding Crimea or taking Crimea back, finding a way to do so, being very necessary from a trade perspective, from an impact perspective to Ukraine. So, I expected and anticipated to general dart to dart, from a dart to dartboard perspective, heavier offensives in the Zaporizhia area. And there have been some. These light blue areas here are counteroffensives, ground taken back by Ukraine. Yellow areas are areas that are claimed Russian control that ISW can't validate. But that is Kreminna. All right, let's bring it back up. Checking in on the chat. Bradley's landed in Belgium this week. I did see that on one source. I haven't dove too far down into it, though. Nights are cold right now. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. It's Ukraine. If you think winter sucks here. All right, let's jump into the next video. We've got some Excalibur footage. Excalibur, that really extremely accurate 155 precision guided round, doing what Excalibur does. Pinpoint targets. This specifically is a 2S3 self-propelled howitzer that Excalibur is taking out here. You can always tell if it's Excalibur based on the airburst. See that telltale ring around the outside. And this is somewhere in, generally speaking, Donetsk. So we're able to say that this is in the east. That's why it's in the eastern section of tonight's show. We're going to be moving into Bakhmut here in just a second. Just wait till we get to the south. We'll be talking about Vuhledar tonight and some Russian offensives that didn't really go Russia's way. The next one that we have is going to be GoPro footage coming from Bakhmut. Now, no, we'll cover that one here in a minute. Ukraine has moved further east in Bakhmut, past the river that we've talked about before, where civilians are traveling across that junk bridge, well, I don't know, junk bridge, to retrieve water or supplies, etc., from east to west into Ukrainian-held territory and to the humanitarian aid areas where there's, hot food, water, internet, according to, the Associated Free Press. What you're going to see here, I don't know exactly where in Bakhmut this takes place, but it's essentially GoPro helmet cam type footage of Ukrainians engaging Russian positions.
Давай вторую, заряжай! В огонь! В огонь! В окно, в огонь! Все, слазим. Красава. Держи автомат.
All right. Let's bring it back up. So before I get too far down into Bakhmut, I want to show that footage that shows Ukraine shifting further a little bit to the east. Now, just like we talked about on, I want to say it was Monday, Bakhmut is still very much so becoming a salient. Now, a salient is essentially a protrusion in the forward line where there's a risk of some level of an envelopment. Imagine let's just go back to the campaign map, and I'll show it to you guys. I got to pull it back up, though. Understandingwar.org. Coming up for you now. Here you go. So, where am I? Here we go. So, Bakhmut is kind of turning into somewhat of a salient. You see, Russia has claimed advances past that E40 highway. But Ukraine, from a geolocation perspective on this next video that we're going to watch, is still very much so moving with some level of freedom of maneuver here. And you guys are going to see that in just a second. Then we'll jump over to Google Maps, and you can actually see the location in Google Maps where this next video is. And this is all in the stream description. So I was able to get all of this into the stream description tonight. The only things we're going to watch tonight that might not be is anything that Josh might post while we're live. So let's bring up that footage now. Not a whole lot happening in this. But Ukrainians maneuvering through that eastern part of the city right now. Now, words matter. I did say some level of freedom of maneuver. You can see they're still moving with a purpose, you know, not kind of lollygagging around. In fact, it looked like they were... Our videographer here is holding some level of security as they move into that next building. I want to show you the Google Earth location for that, and then I have another piece of footage of that exact same location. Let's bring up Google Earth. Enhance. All right, here you go. So that is the location of what we were just watching. Right. So as they walked past that armored fighting vehicle, that was here. And the direction that he was holding cover was between these buildings. Let's orient this north. Here's that river. So this area is still very much so under Ukrainian control at the moment. Now let's watch one more video from that same spot. Or at least what appears to be that same spot. Here you go.
Сейчас можно пройти в следующий подъезд.
Second glance, it doesn't look as close. It's still in Bakhmut, 100%. I just don't want to kind of put my name next to saying that it's in the same spot. This building's, from a coloring perspective, just doesn't quite look the same. And, you know, that little outbuilding there wasn't one of the buildings that we were looking at. Let's bring Google Maps back up. Google Earth, not Google Maps. Yeah. Different spot, still somewhere in Bakhmut, though. Here, check it out. So that little outbuilding isn't, included here. All right, let's come back up. So that's what I had coming out of Bakhmut tonight. Heavy Industries, thanks for the 1536. 12-7 AK 50 cal in Sterling. Happy birthday, Chief. Thanks, man. It's not my birthday, but I appreciate you for being here. James, thank you for the 20. Holy wow. Appreciate that very much. Get anything cool for your birthday? Yeah, 762, dude. Thanks very much for the 762, Gunslinger. James, thanks again for the 20. Andrew, thank you for the 5. As an intel guy, does the Pentagon non-answer briefing on Alaska concern you? No, not necessarily. You know, to be wholly honest with you, they probably don't know what happened or don't know what it was to a certain extent, right? They probably have some level of an understanding, but for myriad reasons, don't want to say anything. So what he's speaking about specifically is there was another high-flying object shot out of the sky over Alaska. You know, their non-answer could be just evaluating, you know, for the future how it was detected. Most of the time, the way things are classified is sources and methods, right? So the source we got it from, and you know, if it wasn't necessarily a source, the method from which it was collected. So what we could very well see is some further clarity to come out later. And if we don't end up getting clarity on it, you know, there's, at least for somebody, whoever the original classification authority is on it, OCA, somebody determines that it's of national security risk to release to the public. You know, I wouldn't look at that one being A, yes, an intel guy, but B, also being a information warfare guy. I wouldn't look at that one as being, you know, something I would pinprick. I would venture to wonder what it was just out of from a curiosity perspective. Supposedly those air balloons existed long before Biden, and Biden apparently wanted to shoot them down, but was advised against it because of debris. But those have existed, you know, back in the Trump days as well. And if I recall the report correctly, Mattis didn't tell Trump about them because he was concerned that Trump would kind of overreact to it. All right, let's move on to the next one. I hope that answers your question in a roundabout way. The easiest way to answer that is, I don't know. You know, no idea. Frank Mix, thanks for the $5. State of Dystopia slaps. Yeah, it does. That's one of my favorites, man. It's so good. Sauteed Chungus, thank you for the 5. Blueberry 2, thank you for the 1040. I want to say happy birthday to you, Ronnie. How difficult would a 2.5 to 3 kilometer kill from a Macmillan TAC 50? Well, I mean, we can watch a 3,700 some odd kilometer shot from a Canadian. We posted that on the site like a couple days ago. So there are shots that, I mean, it's an extremely difficult shot, not a shot I can make. That's for certain. Hard, you're an absolute legend. No, let's move on. Thanks very much for the 1040, dude. Appreciate that. We're going to shift into Avdiivka, just to the northwest of Donetsk, the city. This one was released by Ukraine Weapons Tracker. It's got some copyrighted music. I'm going to turn on our own music. Yeah, I did mean 3,000. It's 3,700 meters, something like that. It's just misspeaking. Looked like that one lost its shoe. Oh, that one too. All right, let's bring it up. Again, that was Avdiivka, just to the northwest. Not sure if I said northeast or northwest of Donetsk, the city. I could show you guys that here on the map in just a second. Coming up now. So here is Donetsk, and here is Avdiivka. Coming all the way out for context. And you know, I haven't covered this one in a while. The black outlined areas are Russian positions held prior to their invasion last year. So that's essentially where, you know, either Russia, you know, proper, or DPR, LPR, with Russia under the table, held ground prior to their full invasion beyond that. All right, let's move to the south. So, big one hit in the south. Pun not intended. The Zatoka Bridge near Odessa was hit by some form of a waterborne drone or craft. I'm going to show you guys the video here. And then I'm going to kind of help you understand context of why that's weird. Coming up for you now. And then some additional context surrounding it. Orient your eyes right here.
Вот он идет. Это в реальном времени, да?
Да, это реально.
Это беспилотник. Вот он сейчас шарахнет. Второй был такой же?
Нет, один.
Вот он, видите, с той стороны. Давай мне камеру, вот сейчас что там.
So again, some form of like a waterborne suicide drone, waterborne, you know, explosives-laden craft. Ukraine used this late last year against the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. Used similar capabilities. But here's why that starts to get interesting. Not only did Moldova, first of all, I didn't know governments could just quit. Like, I didn't know that was a thing until the Moldovan government said that they all quit. Moldova, to the west of Ukraine, is going through a little bit of turmoil at the moment. Let's pull the campaign map back up. Specifically related to, at least in their claims, a lot of Russian influence from Transnistria, which actually runs along this far eastern line of Moldova. We've talked about Transnistria before quite a bit. It is essentially a breakaway area of Moldova, not unlike, you know, Donetsk, Luhansk. But the Moldovan government resigned. Now, that bridge you just watched is right here. This is that bridge. The fighting, the closest would be Kherson, out here. Now, Russia has targeted that bridge before, the Zatoka Bridge, back in April of last year. Kind of varied success. Nobody really knows, or at least up to the stream, I wasn't able to find any kind of BDA, any kind of after action, any real results in the damage to it. But when you start to add the additional context of the Moldovan government resigning with Transnistria there, Odessa, we knew everybody was waiting at the beginning of the of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Everybody was really waiting for the Odessa offensive. And to a certain extent, it almost happened. Russia had pushed their way up all the way up here to the north near Mykolaiv, and everybody expected both from landing craft as well as a westerly push from Mykolaiv to potentially link up with Transnistria and establish a land bridge here the same way that they established the land bridge between Crimea and the Donbass. But that starts to get interesting when you add all that additional context to it. Not necessarily saying that they're linked, the Moldovan government resigning and the striking of this bridge. Still an interesting video. Let's bring it up. Stedman Wellness, thanks for the $5. Wow. Tarkov, downtown's looking dope. Happy special day, my favorite birthday boy. Stop it. Thanks very much for the 5. RF, thank you for the 2. Heavy Industries, thanks for the 1536. James, thanks again for the 20. Gunslinger, thanks for the 762. The bots have arrived with their talking points. Don't feed the wildlife. The coast and bridge are in Ukraine, right? Correct. Yes. Correct. Is there a lot of stuff going between Moldova and Odessa? I mean, I would assume so. They're neighbors, right? Still traffic going east to west, west to east. That, for those that live down there, would be, the path that they would take going that way. So, UFOs, man. I know. Aliens. Speaking of which, the History Channel TV show is still happening. And I do have an air date for it. I'm just not allowed to tell you guys yet. I'm sorry. Once I'm allowed to tell you guys when the show is airing, I promise you'll be some of the first to know. The first is going to be my wife. But anyway. This is such a slow burner war, it's lame. That's one of the stupidest things I think I've ever seen in the chat. I've seen some dumb stuff in there too. That's dumb. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to fall down that path. I've got some footage coming out of Kherson. Josh was really excited about this as a Marine, boat stuff. This one I should have covered on Wednesday because that's when we posted it, but I want to say it was posted like right in the evening on Wednesday. Essentially what you're going to see here are more of those raids across the river to essentially just harass Russian troops on the left or the east bank of the river. All right, coming up. You said boat stuff, right? What would you like me to have said? Yes. What's wrong with you? Boat stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's like marine stuff, or on the boats, ships, boats, whatever. Checking in with support. Torek, thanks for the $5. Ronnie, how can we convince people that chemical weapons aren't being used in Ukraine like legit best ways? Go to Ukraine. Right, there's no way from a two-dimensional space that we can do that. Now, to get closer to that, go back to Wednesday's stream and watch the beginning, because the most common narrative on chemical weapons is the two Russians in the little creek, and we talked about that one Wednesday. So if you're interested in better understanding what you're likely looking at there, go back to the previous stream from this one. Essentially, what you're seeing is a human being's nervous system shutting down. That's it. Because it was an F1 grenade dropped in a VOG. Very visible as to what it was. Anyway. Super Steve, thanks for the 20. What's up, Ronnie? What's up, dude? How you doing, man? Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to everybody. Do me a favor. Tap on the like button. If you're still lurking out in the chat, drop in the chat. Let us know you're here. Engage in the conversation, because all opinions are valued, right? Everybody, alternate opinions to what's going on, things that are happening. Put it in the chat, right? Where it starts to delve down into an area that, you know, we don't spend a whole lot of time or, you know, have time to deal with, is personal attacks, right? For some reason, we went beyond attacking ideas and started attacking people instead of them. And that's stupid. That's dumb. Yeah, don't do that, especially not in the chat, because it's just the internet chat. Relax. Let's move on, though. I want to talk about Vuhledar. So there's a lot of stuff floating around about a Russian offensive that took place in Vuhledar. And we've got some footage here. Essentially, what you're going to see is footage of the 155th Marines, Russian Marines, kind of in an instance to rival the attempted crossing of the Seversky Donetsk in the east. Essentially, they lost, in just this video alone, or in just this assault alone, somewhere around 31 vehicles. We've got 2 videos to watch. The first is actual, you know, drone footage of it. The second is kind of a compilation of photos and such. It helps explain the situation. So here's that first video coming up for you guys now. These are Russian vehicles. That wheel is still spinning. All right, coming back up. Dark Falls, thanks for the 5. If Ukraine knows where Russia is amassing troops along the front line, why don't they HIMAR, shell the crap out of them, and call it a day? Well, there was actually a really breaking, I wouldn't say breaking, because for those of us that kind of understand how things typically work, it wasn't really news. Ukraine doesn't fire a single HIMARS shot as it stands, or at least, you know, they said the majority of the time, without targeting information from the United States, right? So when it comes to HIMARS and just sending it at 300,000 to 500,000 troops, GMLRS isn't really, they don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of that to provide them. GMLRS is one of those munitions that we really do have a short stock of. And that's likely why the U.S. keeps its hand into the targeting jar when it comes to the use of the HIMARS. You know, you can make the argument that that's the U.S. being more involved than most people understood, but the U.S. has said in the past that we do provide, you know, intelligence to Ukraine for various purposes, right? Now, the specificity of that is really just now coming to light. But in the same light, to say that they're not targeting those areas, those supply hubs where, you know, Russians would be, you know, theoretically staging, I think would also be false. That was a major enabler for their counteroffensive in Kharkiv, as well as in Kherson, was targeting logistics hubs, targeting where, you know, troops were amassing, like the New Year's Eve strike, killed something like, I don't know, 200 plus Russians with HIMARS. So it's absolutely happening, in my opinion. Tim, thank you for the 1066. Have you seen the video of the Russians dropping tear gas nades from a drone? No. If you find something like that, make sure to tweet us, right? Just tag us in a response or a reply, or that's the fastest way to get some to us. Now, alternatively, we have a submission form that you guys are welcome to send stuff in to us. Funker530.com/submit. But I'm finding more and more as we continue to ask for it. If you tag Will, myself, Josh, Funker himself, even, we're typically able to get to at least see it, and if we're able to, get it put up on the website to cover here, that's the fastest way to do that. Channel name, thanks for the 10. Does a Russia-China alien alliance concern you? Well, the Fudd down the street says he hung out with the aliens for a little while, and they seem to just be into weird stuff, so I'm not entirely certain that I'm overly concerned with that. I'm into what I'm into. Russia-China alliance, especially with the context to Ukraine, dart to dartboard. If it hits, it hits. If not, it doesn't. China has too much to gain to really dip their hand into this conflict right now. They are essentially sitting back and going to be of biggest benefit at the end of all of this, in my opinion. That's a very general, it's an overgeneralized opinion on it, but that's kind of how I look at things. Is I try to stay as broad stroke as possible, because we cover, many different AORs, areas of war, conflict, self-defense footage, India, Pakistan, Syria, Yemen, the Syrian Civil War, global war on terror, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, South Africa, police footage, right? We are across all conflict. I am not a Ukraine expert. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I have an intelligence background, but my intelligence background was more aligned against information warfare than anything. So even traditional intelligence is starting to get outside of my expertise area, if that answers your question. Ben, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome. D. Shaw, thanks very much for the $30 super chat. How can Russia create a large offensive with such a loss of limited gear, weapons, tanks, manpower, etc.? When do you think that offensive would start? So here's the thing to remember, is no matter how much Russia loses, always assume they have much more to lose, right? Russia has an immense amount of things and stuff that they can kind of continually throw at Ukraine. Amassing, you got to remember, not only do they have all of the mobilization work that they did, but they have their yearly conscription as well. They can amass wave after wave. It is kind of by doctrine how Russia has always done things. By doctrine, it's how and why the AK-47 is the AK-47. It's designed to be cheap, easy to use, that you could arm the wave, and to a certain extent overwhelm the enemy from a volume perspective. So always more that can be sent into the fray. All right, let's move on to, wait, we got one more video to watch coming out of Volodar. And this is not that footage. This is like a compilation somebody did of photos to help you understand the gravity from an amount of vehicles perspective that Russia lost during that assault on Volodar. And that video is coming up for you guys now. I want to say there's copywritten music on it. Yeah, there is. Ego Smux, thanks for being here, dude. Enjoy the bar. AKM is better than AR platform. Ham sandwiches are worse than turkey sandwiches. See, I can do that too. You didn't mute music? That's our music, boss. What weapon takes out 30 vehicles? Combined arms. A combination of artillery, potentially HIMARS, anti-tank, guided missiles, etc. Mines, all of it. T72, thanks for the $2. What's your favorite unit in action in Ukraine? I don't know that I'm partial to any one unit. I'm a big fan of American military and firepower. So, you know, HIMARS is getting it. 777s are doing great. The M119s, I saw something disturbing about the 119s. The 120, 105. Anyway, there are some more advanced targeting systems that are supposed to be included with the M119s. Is that a 105 or a 120? Somebody help me with that. They weren't included. You know, that was a big narrative when it came to the triple axes, the M777 towed artillery pieces that we provided. We provided over like 100, I don't know, 20, 130 billion. I'm not sure how many we've provided, but those were actually the 777A2s that had the ability to fire some of the guided precision munitions. The 119s also have some more advanced capabilities like digital targeting systems, but the one specific, and this does not necessarily indicate that they all don't have this. Too many people do that. They share one photo that they find on Twitter and they're like, see, this is truth across everything. And that's not how it works. All right. So just this one photo though showed the 119 did not have its digital fire control suite. Anyway, 119's at 105 or 1119's at 105. Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not necessarily partial to any particular unit in Ukraine. You know, my biggest bias is to the American military. It is what it is. You know, I fly an American flag. It's all real high, waves in the wind. It's pretty dope. All right, let's move on. We're gonna move into our somewhere in Ukraine footage. I know this is in Ukraine. We know it's in Ukraine. Don't exactly know where here. We have a MiG-29. If you guys recall, the MiG-29 was retro fitted to be able to fire the AGM-88 HARM. The AGM-88 HARM is an anti-radiation missile, air to surface, that essentially has been used to great effect. You know, if you imagine radar systems, anything emanating radar, so anti-air capabilities, S-300s, S-400s, command and control vehicles, things like that. That's what the HARM is mostly going to be used for. This footage is really just off of the airframe, and I know it's always interesting to see aircraft footage. But what we don't see is whether or not the HARM actually hit something. All right, coming up. How's your coffee, sweetie? You talking to me? Oh, it's fine. Thanks. Jacques, thank you for the 744. Monkey Empire, thanks for the 10. James, thanks for the 556. I need that Funker coffee mug. Yeah, we don't. This is like the last. Oh, there's water in it. I forgot. This is like the last one that we had, and they're from like a year and a half ago. We're trying to get some more. You know, everyday, some lifestyle type stuff. We've got plenty of t-shirts, plenty of hoodies. We did just release a sticker for the Chinese takeout logo. So, if you're interested in that, go check that out. Exclamation point merch. But these, these are kind of old school. And I love it. I love it so much. Thanks very much for the 556. Super Steve, thank you for the 5. I'm not rooting for Russia, but in a war of attrition, realistically, Russia will come out on top, I believe. You know, we used to talk about end states a lot here. You know, in how, if ever, we could come to an end state. And both the West and Russia have gone too far at this point. And that's what concerns most people, I think. You know, myself included, right, is which side, quote unquote side, chooses to take decisive action first to bring things to a close. Russia has aligned too much combat power against this. They have put too much of their reputation, their global, whatever it once was, reputation at stake on the invasion to back down at this point. The West has aligned too much combat power to Ukraine, too much funding, too much money to really stop doing that in its entirety for, essentially the same reasons. So which quote unquote side chooses to take decisive action to end things? And what is that decisive action? Most people go straight to nukes. I don't necessarily. There are, a lot of things, not even necessarily weapons, right? That war is politics. It's the truest form of politics in my mind. So there are a lot of things from a decisive action perspective that can be done even from a political side of the house. But this isn't a politics show necessarily. We're here to review footage, to talk about the Funker 530 mission, to point you guys to the app, to the website, !app. If you don't have it downloaded, over 350,000 downloads at this point. Funker tracks all that stuff. I don't. Something like 10, 20,000 5-star reviews on both app stores. We're pretty proud of it because we're a 4-person team. we're very proud of that. Anyway, let's move. Biden versus Putin cage match. Wow. Wow. I can't not see that in my head movies now. Damn. We've got CSAR, combat search and rescue mission being conducted by Ukraine here to rescue a high-value piece of equipment, specifically an aircraft. Again, CSAR is combat search and rescue. Oop, almost knocked over my water. Wait, you were a 6-person team a couple months ago? Yeah. So our team ebbs and flows. We've been as many as 7. As folks move to other projects or life gets in the way, we scale up and we scale down. And that 4 is, I would say, the core team. We also have our dev team behind the scenes to help us with real technical stuff. I'll give you guys a link so you can go and see everybody on the team. So, just to help you understand what the hell was going on there. Josh, I want to say this was one of Josh's. I'll have to look at it. But this was combat search and rescue of a drone. The drone got caught in the tree, so they had to chop the tree down to rescue the drone. Now, from, a priority perspective, again, we've talked about the true novelty of drones isn't necessarily dropping bombs from them. That's not new. ISIS was doing that in 2015. The novelty of drones is forward observation, right? So you're able to essentially conduct recce, to walk fires onto target without ever sending, boots forward. Really just subject to the range of the drone. Now, because these drones have, imagine you lose your Mavic flying it over the Grand Canyon. and you want to go find that Mavic. It's got GPS built into it. So all you essentially have to do is pull the GPS from its location, provide that back to your fires team, and you've got accurate rounds on target. All right, let's bring it back up. This next video is a little bit grainy, just giving you a heads up ahead of time. But what you're going to see here is a Russian chopper that makes an emergency landing, but then gets destroyed by artillery. Thought that one was kind of interesting. Again, nothing I could do about the quality of the footage here. I've got it pedals to the metal. Here you go. All right, let's come back up. Jacques, thanks again for that 744. Monkey Empire for the 10. James for the 556. Appreciate it very much. Checking in on the chat here. Extra sharp. Ukrainian trees are tough AF. Okay. The next one that we're going to watch is a Russian BMP. This BMP is on the move and ends up getting hit with an anti-tank guided missile. And that's coming up for you right now. All right, let's bring it up. Has any one of you seen the POW execution of some Russians by one Ukrainian? Yes, we covered it at the beginning of Wednesday's stream. Absolutely. Burnout. Just checking in. All right, let's move on to the next one that we've got here. This next one was kind of interesting to me. So you've got recon by fire, right? Essentially trying to find where the enemy is by engaging, if you will. I guess this would be recon by drone. When you know they're in there. Recon by frag? Coming back up. Yeah, I don't know. Christopher, thanks for the 344. Keep up the great work, mate. Thanks, man. Just here showing you guys the footage. I saw the comment come across. Something your app. Okay. You don't download it. It's fine. I don't care. So opinionated. Stop it. Relax. Dude was on fire. Yeah, he was. Has the U.S. ever sent a fleet into the Black Sea post-Cold War? That's actually a good question. I'm not sure. Frag by recon. All right, let's head back to the main page of the site and see if there has been anything new that's popped up since we've been live. No, doesn't look like it. What I do want to do, it was something we haven't done in a little while, is cover a few videos that are on our trending list. So these are going to be the most trending videos watched on the Funker 530 app and website over the last 7 days. Now, there's a reason that we don't cover so much raw here anymore. And that's because of YouTube's requirements. We already run the risk on this show every night. I mean, we started off the show tonight with some pretty not safe for work stuff. All of our raw footage is still on the app and website. And we're going to start with the number 5 most watched video on the website. This is going to be a nose-to-nose fight with a barricaded shooter from a Ukrainian perspective.
Ебаш! Гранату, Орес, граната нахуй! Выходи, жить будешь, сука! Выходи нахуй! Выходи, блядь! Кидай нахуй гранату, пиздец! Хуяр ты, пидора, значит, если не хочешь выходить нахуй. Орес, с фланга, Орес, гранату! Гранату нахуй! Орес, давай, працюй! Джусик, сектор. Сектор крий. Тікай! Ще одна нахуй! Ще одна, блядь! Тільки кричіть!
There is a second perspective of it. It is on the website. Yep.
Дає! Да, це підвал. Тепер давай з фланга закриваємо. Орес
That
підпомагай.
was an RGD grenade. All right, let's bring it back up. That was the number 5 most watched video this week on the app and website. And what I want to pull up next is the number 4. Now, we haven't covered this one here. But what you're going to see is a compilation of a Ukrainian reporter as, she's reporting out of Bakhmut, and there's indirect happening all around her. And there's not much more I can tell you to prepare you for it. Coming up for you now.
Так. До сих пор. Ё-моё. 10 тысяч.
Але я не рік не досяг строфу. Але це треба рекорди. Страху то. Це дуже погано.
Займалась. Просто положись. Центр волонтерства. Добре, я чекаю.
Давай.
Безпечно, що
Частку ми привозили, нічого майже не залишилося, але воно було не всередині, дуже.
Я тобі маю зробити комплімент, що ти реально сьогодні смілива і ти реально сьогодні багато прийшла в Бахмуті. Молодець. Не всі дівчата, не всі журналісти на це йдуть, а ти пішла.
All right, let's bring it back up. That was the number 4 most watched video on the app and website. Let's move to number 3. The number 3 is going to be, I would say, discretion is advised here. If I recall correctly, this is a BMP team, a Russian BMP team that finds refuge. We just covered this one on Wednesday in a hole, and they receive a frag grenade, specifically, I want to say it's an F1, from a drone. It lands in the middle of them. And again, discretion is advised here. The number 3 most watched video on the app and website. We're going to come back up. Don't need to watch that one again. I will show you guys how to access this stuff. How to access the most trending outside of just on the right side, though. So when you're on the home page of the site, just click trending. If you want to see the last 7 days, if you want to see the last 30 days, you want to see the last year, and you want to see all time. It's going to take that one a minute to search. Anyway, let's go back to 7 days. The second most is the spy balloon being shot down. Here you go. We'll watch it.
Oh, damn. Stop.
F-22, baby.
They shot. It's going at it right now.
Wonder how loud the pop was.
Oh, shit. It's hit. It's going down. What?
All right, let's bring it back up. We actually released a t-shirt with the balloon. With the balloon floating back down. And it's one of my favorites. Probably the riskiest t-shirt that we have right now. You know. It's good. Exclamation point merch. Go check that out. There's a sticker too. The last video, we're not going to be able to watch all of this one. The last video is actually, you know, a really interesting piece of footage. What you'll see when you go and watch this, and I'll give you a link to the website on it, is essentially a Russian squad-sized element that gets pinned down. And what I really hope you guys go to do on this one is read Josh's analysis. Josh is a Marine infantry machine gunner, and he provides a lot of really great context about what happens when you find yourself into, you know, this form of an ambush. It's a really high up tempo video to watch. They just essentially get picked apart, staying there on the X. Lord McCormick, thanks for the 216 breaking. U.S. Air Force shot down a UFO over Alaska. Yeah, we're tracking that one, boss. Wilhelm, thanks for the 533. F Russia, but I really feel sad for those soldiers killed by the drone. Dan, thanks very much for the 5. Ronnie, your friends at the CIA said you've been good this week, so here's part of your back pay. Well, based on how long I supposedly have been working on this show for the CIA, you guys got a long way to go. The 5 is appreciated towards my back pay. I appreciate it very much. Chris, thanks again for the 344. Jacques for the 744. Monkey Empire for the 10. James for 556. All right, checking in on the chat. How big is your element? I got these small Burger King sized hands, you know. Do you guys want to do... You should go on Tim Pool's podcast. Yeah, I'd be on if he was interested to have me. You know, we've reached out to, you know, other shows in the past about potentially coming on just to chat, just to talk. Not necessarily about any one thing in particular, just to integrate, if you will. Portugal PM says, we're with you, Ukrainian until the end. Sends 2 Leopard tanks from 70s that are busted. Asked Germany for help for parts to fix. WTF, like sending a starving town a handful of beans. Just don't. Seriously. Well, I mean, if they don't have much to send, but still want to send something that, you know, speaks to their resolve on wanting to help, you know, you can't hate them for wanting to send something. I am not Portuguese, so I can't judge them for it, you know. Nor should anybody else. It's their stuff, you know. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us. The last thing that I wanted to do is another note for USCCA. We watched some pretty discretion advised type footage to start the stream. Tonight's sponsor was USCCA. Now, I do strongly recommend, especially if you're here in the United States and you carry a firearm from a defensive perspective or just to exercise your rights to do so, that you give USCCA a look to potentially represent you if you ever need to. Even if you're just interested in receiving some good fundamental training. I had the chance to be invited up there with some good friends of mine that you'll see in this video that I'm going to roll here in just a second. And we had a great time. Their training was good. I expected it to be a little overly basic, but it reinforced a lot of fundamentals, taught me about some of the gaps that I have, and the before, during, and after that they talk about made a lot of sense to me. I also appreciate very much what they're doing, taking a bottom-up approach, and this is my talking point, a bottom-up approach to, gun rights in America, rather than a politician down approach. Start with the people. Teach the people about the rights, how to use it, how to prepare for it, how to avoid the situation. I'm going to roll this video for you, and then we're going to close things out, head over to the other stream. I appreciate you for being here. Happy Friday, and I hope that you guys come back on Monday, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard, right here for more footage. Stay informed.
The USCCA is an organization that is focused on not only equipping responsible gun owners,
on the ground,
but they're also focused on intently building community among its members. As crime continues to rise across the United States, Americans of all races, colors, and creeds will continue to purchase firearms, making USCCA's mission all the more important. USCCA is an organization focused on empowering its members through education and training, while also providing them with liability insurance for lawful self-defense scenarios. USCCA has singularly become the most important liability carry insurance option in the United States. And when you meet Tim and talk to the more than 400 staff at USCCA, it's not hard to see why. With their passion, commitment, and dedication to their customers, it's easy to see why USCCA has grown to become one of the most critically important firearms-related companies. It's everyday people working hard to educate and protect. And it's the core of that mission that makes USCCA.
I was sitting here watching the video. Good night.